Okay, we're up and running. I can see Kimberly in the background and Brad.
Yep.
Hi, everybody. This is our first time broadcasting on from Zoom to YouTube. Come meet some of the people working on the Constitutional Conventions. There's people working in all the provinces, BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Northwest Territories, Yukon, on creating a constitution for the people. And this constitution is being designed to create an accountable government for the people, by the people. And that's the bottom line. Get involved. Please share the video out. Please subscribe. And come meet everybody we got. Okay, I'm just going to share out the link to everybody so they have it.
How come I can't see my screen?
Okay, here's the new link, Brad, and everybody, you want to share it out? Thank you. Well, this looks pretty good, you guys. Everybody bear with us. We're just trying to figure this out. It's the first time we've logged on to running live through Zoom. But after this, it'll be a lot more easier.
Okay. Is Canada a country? That seems silly, but it seems they never formed Canada properly in law. Canada is not sovereign, but de facto doctrine applies. Summary, Canada is not sovereign? Google says the fourth most searched question about Canada is Canada a country? That seems silly, but it seems they never formed Canada properly in law. So if then it exists due to the de facto doctrine prevents anarchy. Background, Canadians are told the British North American Act in 1867 united the four provinces, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia, into a political entity called Canada. Being sovereign means not being subservient to another country's laws, but the 1867 B&A Act is a British law. In fact, the UK government website legislation.co.uk lists it. That means the UK government can rescind their B&A Act at any time. Sovereignty definition. The US Supreme Court defined what sovereignty means in their 1793 landmark case, Chisholm versus Georgia. The US Supreme Court defined sovereignty in the famous 1793 Chisholm versus Georgia case, the supreme, ultimate, and uncontrollable power by which any independent state is governed, the self-sufficient source of political power, from which all political powers are derived. The international dependence of a state combined with the right and power of regulating its internal affairs without foreign dictation. Canada is not sovereign. Pierre Trudeau repatriates the 1982 Constitution Act from the UK. But having to ask permission from another country means Canada is not sovereign. In 1982, Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau repatriated the BNA Act from the United Kingdom. Basically, it was asking the UK for permission to amend the Constitution, Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and the BNA Act in the future without their permission. As the BNA Act is a British law and the law supposedly formed Canada, then Canada is not sovereign. In short, it is not self-sufficient nor without foreign dictation. For example, it has the 1976 letter from Walter Call, former member of Parliament. The Walter Call letter is one that every Canadian should read, if for one reason only, to jolt the reader. Who is Walter Call? Walter Call was a teacher and elected politician to the Canadian House of Commons from 1935 to 1949. Walter Call wrote this letter in 1976 to René Lévesque, Premier of Quebec, leader of the party Québécois, when Lévesque was stirring Quebec with its referendum for separation. So profound was this letter that Lévesque went to Ottawa to meet with Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau to ask Trudeau if the call letter was factual. On a number of occasions, evidenced with all the historic legal documents in hand, Walter brought to other politicians' attention the fact that Canada was never actually lawfully confederated into a sovereign state. Some of the documents available here represent the evidence of his work. Here is the letter to René Lévesque, addressing Quebec's will to separate. In this letter, he made it clear to Mr. Lévesque that Quebec was and continues to be a sovereign nation, as do all provinces in Canada. And then we got the address here. Spruce Grove, Alta, RRI, November 23rd, 1976. The Honorable René Lévesque, Premier-elect, Province of Quebec, Quebec PQ. Dear Mr. Lévesque, congratulations on your magnificent personal victory and that of your party, Quebecois, in the recent Quebec election. As a student of Canadian constitutional history and of Canadian constitutional problems for some 40 years, I am tremendously interested in the constitutional implications of your recent political victory. For 14 years, from 1935 to 1949, it was my privilege to serve as a member of the House of Commons from the province of Alberta. The withholding of assent to some Alberta legislation in those years by the Lieutenant Governor and the disallowance of other Alberta legislation by the people at Ottawa set me to investigating how these things could be. I was assisted in my studies by R. Roger Smith, who was personally acquainted with me, or with a one-time private secretary to John A. Macdonald at the time when the BNA Act was being enacted. Through this source, I have become acquainted with much information concerning the history of the BNA Act, which is not found in textbooks. Elizabeth, you want to take over for a bit?
I can do it, Brad.
Okay, thanks, Dwight.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. All this information has led me to the conclusion that the existing constitutional circumstances are shocking to the point of unbelief. However, in my considered opinion, after 40 years of intensive study, these existing constitutional circumstances are of such a nature that they can be of extreme advantage to you in governing your province. I am enclosing copies of some of the addresses which I delivered in the House of Commons on the subject, as well as copies of the pamphlet by Mr. Smith. Move the screen up. Okay, well, okay, Mr. Smith, you moved it up. Okay, dealing with the same subject. If you have not already been made acquainted with this material, I trust it will prove enlightening and helpful to you in constitutional considerations in which you obviously are going to become involved. Although the enclosed material should give you a clear outline of what I conceive to be your present standing constitutionally as a province, I would like to give you a brief summary of what I believe to be your present position. Screen up. Thank you. So far as separation is concerned, rather than it being necessary to seek separation rights through a referendum, the province of Quebec is already completely constitutionally separated from the rest of Canada. This is equally true of every other province in Canada and has been so since December 11th, 1931, through the Statute of Westminster. How can you be divorced if you have never been married? In other words, ever since the enactment of the Statute of Westminster in 1931 by the British government, each of the provinces of Canada has been a completely sovereign and independent state. And because the provinces have signed nothing since the constituting a federal union and a federal government, and because no such treaty has been ratified by the people of Canada, the provinces still enjoy the statutes of sovereignty and are privileged to use it in any way they see fit. As you will observe from the enclosed addresses, I quote eminent Canadian constitutional authorities as suggesting that the only and logical solution to the existing constitutional circumstances is the drafting and the adoption of a proper federal constitution in which the provinces can reserve for themselves any and all powers necessary to enable them to govern their provinces successfully. I'm sure you can appreciate that if this were done, you could solve your economic and other problems in Quebec without resorting to separation. I feel sure that having the ability to solve your problems and still remain constitutionally part of the country of Canada would be much more satisfactory to your supporters, as well as to the others within your province. The following is the summary of the reasons for the things I have just stated. 1. At the time of Confederation movement in Canada, the provinces of Canada, Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, desired to form a federal union. 2. The Quebec resolutions of 1864 provided for a federal union. 3. The bill drafted by the Canadian delegates at the London Conference in 1866 also provided for a federal union. The colonial office of the Imperial Parliament was not disposed to grant the provinces of Canada their request for a federal union. 5. The British North American Act, enacted by the Imperial Parliament, carried out neither the spirit nor the terms of the Quebec resolutions. 6. Canada did not become a federal union or a confederation under the British North American Act, but rather a united colony. The privilege of federation, therefore, was still a future privilege for the provinces of Canada. 7. The Parliament of Canada did not become the government of Canada, much less a federal government. It became merely the central legislature of a united colony, a legislative body whose only power was that of aiding and advising the Governor General as agent of the Imperial Parliament. 8. The British North American Act, as enacted by the Imperial Parliament, was not a constitution, but merely an act of the Imperial Parliament, which united 4 colonies in Canada into 1 colony, with the supreme authority still remaining in the hands of the British government. 9. The privilege of federating became realizable for the other provinces of Canada only through the enactment of the Statute of Westminster on December 11, 1931. Through this statute, the Imperial Parliament relinquished to the people of Canada their sovereign's rights, and through them to their provincial governments as their most direct agents. 10. Since December 11, 1931, the provinces of Canada have not acted on their newly acquired status in the forming of a federal union, nor have the people of Canada ratified a constitution. Therefore, the original proposition, namely that all power to govern in Canada resides at the moment with the provinces of Canada, and that all power legally remains there until such time as the provinces sign
an agreement and ratify a constitution whereby they may delegate such powers as they wish to a central government of their own creation. In the meantime, Canada exists as 10 political units without a political superior. Should you consider that there is merit in the information which I have given you, I would be very happy to meet with you personally to discuss it in greater depth. The implications of the unprecedented constitutional circumstances prevailing in Canada. Yours for a better Canada, Walter F. Cool. Member of Parliament for Jasper Edson, 1935 to 1949. In Mr. Cool's final year serving as a politician, he brought forward Canada's constitutional problems in the House of Commons. Here is the transcript of that entry to René Lévesque, then Premier of Quebec. Delivered in the House of Commons on Thursday, November 8, 1945, a distinctive national flag and constitutional problems in Canada. Mr. W.F. Cool, Jasper Edson. This resolution urges the expediency of Canada's processing a distinctive national flag. I agree that an anomaly exists with respect to the matter of a Canadian flag, and I and my associates in Parliament are in favor of removing this condition. But personally, I consider that under the constitutional conditions prevailing in this country at the moment, such action is premature. There are other and more important actions to be taken before it is appropriate to adopt a new flag. The flag question is just one of many anomalies which exist in Canada's constitutional position. Some of these have been referred to this afternoon. One of them, the matter of Canadian citizenship, is intended to be dealt with at this session. There are others, such as amendments to the Constitution, appeals to the Privy Council, the power of disallowance, the matter of a federal district proper, and doubtless there are others. All these anomalies ought to be dealt with, and I am personally in favor of dealing with them all at the earliest possible opportunity. But I consider that the present piecemeal method is improper as well as undemocratic. I contend that the people of Canada are not being consulted in the matter in which I believe they ought to be concerning their rights in these questions. To account for anomalies, I wish to indicate, Mr. Speaker, my reasons for contending that the method that is proposed to attempt to remove these anomalies is improper and undemocratic. Then I wish to indicate what I consider to be a proper method to use. To do this, I first wish to endeavor to account for the constitutional circumstances in which we find ourselves at this moment. The question which I must occur to every honorable member of this House and to every other citizen in this country is, why do such anomalies exist in our constitutional position? How did they come about? There must be something in Canada's constitutional history that accounts for the circumstances in which we find ourselves. No other part of the British Empire finds itself in the same circumstances. Why are these conditions peculiar to the people of Canada? In endeavoring to answer these questions, and in suggesting that I consider to be proper remedy for them, I am not posing as a constitutional expert, though I may say it is now 10 years since I began my studies on this subject, and I trust and I shall not be considered presumptuous in claiming to have added a little of my knowledge in that time. The matters which I wish to discuss are those with which every public school child in the 7th and 8th grades, every high school student, and certainly every voter should be thoroughly familiar. Every citizen in the land should know by what authority we do things in this country. On several occasions during the past 2 parliaments, I have argued the case I'm about to introduce, but very little attention was paid to my statements either in the House or out of it. On this occasion, I intend to be heard, and if not, I demand to know the reason why. I consider that the situation which I shall discuss is of such importance that a reply or comment should certainly be forthcoming from the acting Prime Minister, Mr. Isley, the Minister of Justice, Mr. St. Laurent, and for that matter, from all honorable members of the House. I and the people who have sent me here have the right to know whether there is or is not a basis in fact for my contentions. And if there is, they have the right to know what is going to be done about it. Submit reasoned argument. I propose to make a reasoned argument supported by the best evidence, I have been able to secure. If my argument is to be controverted, I demand that it be met with a reasoned argument and not with personal abuse and statements, which are wholly irrelevant. I expect a more intelligent criticism of my argument than was exhibited by a certain honorable member when I discussed this subject in a previous parliament. In Hansard of April 8, 1938, at page 2183, this little exchange took place between the honorable member and myself, Mr. Selkirk, Mr. Thorson. Mr. Thorson, would the honorable member indicate where he gets these queer ideas? Mr. McNichol. He has queer ideas of his own. Mr. Cool. I continued. Mr. Cool. I placed on Hansard on February 10th a clear outline of the reasons for my statement. If the honorable member wishes to refute any of the facts or arguments which I placed before the House, I shall be pleased to hear the refutation. Mr. Thorson, why battle against windmills? I submit that the subject matter and the arguments which I presented on that occasion were worthy of more intelligent criticism than was exhibited by that honorable gentleman. I have long ago learned that when an individual has a weak argument or no argument at all, he usually resorts to personal abuse of his opponent. If honorable members have not a better argument to make than Mr. Thorson made on that occasion, I suggest that they hold their peace. In submitting my argument to Mr. Speaker, I wish to assure you that I am actuated by the highest possible motives. We proudly proclaim our faith in democracy. We proclaim it from the housetops. I wish to urge that we practice what we preach. Let us demonstrate democracy instead of merely paying lip service to it. It is my desire to see the people of Canada consulted where their fundamental rights are concerned. I wish to see government of the people by the people. These are our motives, which actuate me in what I have to say on this resolution. In presenting the special case I'm about to discuss, I am not necessarily speaking as a member of the social credit group. I am speaking as a native of Canada. The matters of which I am to speak of fundamentally concern to every citizen of Canada, regardless of his or her political persuasion. They are among the most serious matters upon which a citizen can be called to think. They are the bedrock considerations of human government, basic premises. In order to endeavor to account for the contradictions in Canada's constitutional position and to suggest a remedy, therefore, I wish to lay down some fundamental premises on which I shall base my entire argument. Locke is credited with saying, "Men being by nature all free, equal, and independent, No one can be put out of this estate and subjected to the power of another without his consent. The only way whereby anyone divests himself of this natural liberty and puts on the bonds of civil society is by agreeing with other men to join and unite into a community. Jefferson, in the Declaration of Independence, states, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." Federal Union defined. In addition to that promise, I wish to indicate the definition of a federal union. What is a federal union? Bouvier, in his law dictionary, defines federal government as a union or confederation of sovereign states created either by treaty or by the mutual adoption of federal constitution. Dr. Olivier, Joint Law Clerk of the House of Commons, on page 85 of the report of the Special Committee on the British North American Act, said, "A confederation is a union of independent and sovereign states bound together by a pact or a treaty for the observance of certain conditions dependent upon the unanimous consent of the contracting parties, who are free to withdraw from the union." A.P. Newton, in his book entitled Federal and Unified Constitutions, at page 5, says, "A federal state is a perpetual union of several sovereign states, based first upon a treaty between these states or upon some historical status common to them all, and secondly, upon a federal constitution accepted by their citizens." 2 points stand out prominently in these definitions. The first is that the states which form the union must be sovereign, free, and independent before they federate. The second, that the federal constitution, which forms the basis of the union, must be accepted by the citizens of the federating states. I think it worthwhile in this connection to point out that when the states of Australia federated, the people of Australia were provided with 2 opportunities of voting on their constitution. I should like to quote a paragraph from A History of the Australian Constitution by Quick and Garrett. This paragraph is on the meaning of the words "have agreed" in the Constitution, and it states, "These words make distinct and emphatic reference to the consensus of the people arrived at through the procedure, in its various successive stages prescribed by the substantially similar enabling acts adopted by the legislators of the occurring colonies. In 4 of the colonies, acts were passed enabling the people to take part in the framing and the acceptance or rejection of the federal constitution for Australia. Through these acts, the people agreed first to send representatives to a federal convention charged with duty of framing for Australia a federal constitution under the Crown in the form of a bill for enactment by the Imperial Parliament. And secondly, they agreed to pronounce their judgment upon the Constitution at a referendum, which in each colony was arranged to follow the convention. In all the colonies, the Constitution was eventually referred to the people. At this referendum, each voter was eligible to vote by ballot yes or no on the question asked on the ballot paper: "Are you in favor of the proposed federal constitution?" In this manner, there was in 4 colonies a popular initiative, and finally in all of the colonies a popular ratification of the Constitution, which is thus legally the work, as it will be for all time, the heritage of the Australian people. This democratic method of establishing a new form of government may be contrasted with the circumstances and conditions under which other federal constitutions become law. Federal Union desired in 1867. Now, I should like to ask a few questions concerning our position in Canada. Did the provinces of Canada desire federal union? The Quebec resolutions, the London resolutions, and the draft of the Bill of the London Delegates all indicate that the provinces of Canada desired federal union. The preamble to the Quebec resolution reads, The best interests and present and future prosperity of British North America will be promoted by a federal union under the Crown. Clause 70 of the Quebec resolutions indicates that whatever agreement was arrived at by the delegates would be submitted to the provinces for their approval. It reads, the sanction of the imperial and local parliaments shall be sought for the union of the provinces on the principles adopted by the conference. Furthermore, a bill drafted in London by the Canadian delegates contains the same preamble that appears in the Quebec resolutions, and this draft bill also contains a repealing clause which honorable members can find on page 179 of Pope's Confederation documents. It reads, from and after the Union, all acts and part of acts passed by the Parliament of Great Britain, the Parliament of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, the legislator of Upper Canada, the legislator of Lower Canada, the legislator of Canada, the legislator of Nova Scotia, or the legislator of New Brunswick, which were repugnant to or inconsistent with the provisions of this act, shall be and saying are hereby repealed. Canada not federated under the BNA Act. The next question is, did Canada become a federal union under the British North American Act? I submit that the manner in which the bill was drafted and the manner in which it was enacted throw much light on the answer to this question. The law officers of the Crown attached to the Colonial Office drafted the Act. Lord Carnarvon, Secretary of the State of the Colonies, was the chairman of the conference. Sir Frederick Rogers, Undersecretary for the Colonies, in Lord Blackford's letters, is quoted as saying on page 301. They held many meetings at which I was always present. Lord Carnarvon was in the chair, and I was rather disappointed in his power of presidency. In reading accounts of the times, it is quite obvious that the bill which was drafted by the Colonial Office seems to have prevailed over that which was drafted by the delegate from Canada. The title and preamble of the bill drafted by the Colonial Office read, the Union of the British North American Colonies and for the Government of the United Colony, whereas the Union of the British North American Colonies for the purposes of government and legislation would be attended with great benefits to the colonies and be conducive to the interests of the United Kingdom. This is the preamble of the draft bill submitted by the Colonial Office, whereas the preamble of the bill drafted by the Canadian delegates read, whereas the provinces of Canada, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick have expressed their desire to form a federal union under the British Crown for the purpose of government and legislation, based upon the principles of the British Constitution. I submit, Mr. Speaker, no evidence is to be found to show that the preamble which we find in the printed copies of the British North American Act in Canada was either discussed or proven in the British Parliament. This preamble reads, whereas the provinces of Canada, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick have expressed their desire to be federally united into one dominion. Lord Carnarvon, who introduced the bill on February 19, 1867, used these words as reported on page 559 of the British Hansard. The bill opens by reciting the desire of the several provinces to be federally united. Furthermore, Lord Campbell, speaking on the bill on February 26 of the same year, is reported at page 1012 of the British Hansard as having said, the bill is founded, I believe, on what is termed the Quebec Scheme of 1864. When the resolution, which alone engages the Nova Scotian Parliament, was in debate, its whole tenor, as our papers show, were against that project. The leader of the government was understood distinctly to renounce it. Our rights indeed may be imperfect upon this part of the subject, and I will not dwell upon it. But one thing is clear. The preamble of the resolution comes before us in full and perfect authenticity. The preamble lays down the expediency of confederating British North America. I submit it should be evident that these quotations, that the preamble which was discussed was that to be found in the Quebec resolutions, not the one we find in the printed copies of the British North American Act in Canada. A pertinent question to ask at this point would be, when was the present preamble placed in the British North American Act? Why was it not discussed in the British Parliament? And furthermore, what is the significance of an act bearing a preamble which was not even discussed, let alone proven? Another point of significance in connection with this, I believe, is the undue haste with which the bill was passed through the Imperial Parliament. When a second reading was called for, the bill was not even printed. On page 1090 of British Hansard for February 27, 1867, we find these words. Mr. Hatfield said he rose to ask the government why it was the second reading of this bill had been fixed for tomorrow. It was one which affected 4 million of people, and upon which great doubts and differences of opinions were entertained. It was not yet printed, and was of so important a character that he thought some little time ought to elapse after it was in the hands of the members before it was introduced, in order that some little consultation should take place upon it. He was not at all sure that he should be opposed to it, but he certainly required more time to consider it. Later on page 1195, on February 28th, we find this. He, Mr. Hatfield, thought that a bill of such great importance ought not to be passed through Parliament with such haste. It was read a third time in the House of Lords only on Tuesday night, and 2 days after they were called to give it a second reading in the House of Commons. That was a bad precedent to establish, and might produce ill effect at another time. If the bill had been delayed only a few weeks, the people of Nova Scotia would have been able to express an opinion upon it. He had not had time to consider either the bill itself or the papers on the subject, which had been put into his hands. Another significant statement is that John Bright, which we find on page 1181 of the British Answer for the February 28, 1867, as follows. I have heard there is at present in London a petition complaining of the hasty proceedings of Parliament and asking for delay, signed by 31,000 adult male of the province of Nova Scotia, and that petition is in reality signed by at least half of all the male inhabitants of that province. So far as I know, the petition does not protest absolutely against union, but against the manner in which it is being carried out by this scheme and bill, and by the hasty measures of the Colonial Office. Nobody pretends that the people of Canada prefer a nominated council to an elective council. I regret very much that they have not adopted another system with regard to their council or senate, because I am satisfied I have not a particle of doubt with regard to it, that we run a great danger of making this act work ill almost from the beginning. For my share, I want the population of these provinces to do what they believe to be best for their own interests, remain with this country if they like, or become independent states if they like. Conclusions. From the evidence which I have thus far submitted, I draw the following conclusions. 1. The provinces of Canada desired a federal union. 2. The Quebec resolutions provided for a federal union. 3. The bill drafted by the Canadian delegates at the London Conference also provided for a federal union. 4. The Colonial Office was not disposed to grant the provinces of Canada their request for a federal union. 5. The British North American Act, enacted by the Imperial Parliament, carried out neither the spirit nor the terms of the Quebec resolutions. 6. Canada did not become a federal union under the British North American Act, but rather a united colony. The privilege of federating, therefore, was still a future privilege. 7. The Parliament of Canada did not become the Government of Canada, much less a federal government. It became merely the central legislator of a united colony, a legislative body whose only power was that of aiding and advising the Governor General as agent of the Imperial Parliament. 8. The British North American Act, as enacted by the Imperial Parliament, was not a constitution, but merely an act of the Imperial Parliament, which united 4 colonies in Canada into one colony with the same authorities still remaining in the hands of the British government. Further evidence. As further evidence that the British North American Act was not a constitution and that Canada did not become a federal union, I refer to the definition of the term dominion, which is to be found in Section 18, Paragraph 3 in the Interpretation Act of 1889. It reads as follows. The expression colony shall mean any of Her Majesty's dominions, exclusive of the British Islands and the British India, and where parts of such dominions are under both a central legislature and local legislators. All parts under the central legislature shall, for the purpose of this definition, be deemed to be one colony. Excepting Canada, no country in the empire had a central legislature and local legislators. Therefore, according to this definition, made 22 years after the enactment of the British North American Act, Canada is deemed to be one colony. To show that I am not alone in my conclusions, I quote some of the statements of recognized Canadian constitutional authorities before the Special Committee on the British North American Act in 1935. Dr. W.P.M. Kennedy, professor of law in the University of Toronto, at page 69 of the report states, I think we have got to get away from the idea that the British North American Act is a contract or treaty. I do not want to go into that, but it is true neither in history nor in law. The British North American Act is a statute and has always been interpreted as a statute. Professor N. L. Rogers of Queen's University at page 115 of the report states in a reply to the question by Mr. Gowan, Mr. Cowan, you do not subscribe to the belief that this was a pact or contract. Mr. Rogers, I am thoroughly convinced it is not, either in the historical or the legal sense. Then I would quote Dr. Bouchenez, clerk of the House of Commons, who at page 125 states, it is quite true that if we apply to the British North American Act the principles followed in the interpretation of statutes, it is not a compact between provinces. It is an act of Parliament which does not even embody all the resolutions passed in Canada and in London prior to its passage in the British Parliament, where certain clauses that had not been recommended by the Canadian provinces were added. The evidence which I have submitted establishes to my satisfaction that there has been at no time in Canada any agreement, pact, or treaty between the provinces creating a federal union and a federal government. The privilege to federate, therefore, was still a future privilege for the provinces of Canada, provinces of completely sovereign. Since the provinces must enjoy the condition of sovereignty and independence before they can federate, it was necessary that the British government relinquish its authority over them. That was done through the enactment of the Statute of Westminster on December 11, 1931. By Section 7, Paragraph 2 of the statute, the provinces of Canada were made sovereign, free, and independent in order that they might consummate the federal union which they wished to create in 1867, but were not permitted to do so. Since December 11, 1931, the provinces of Canada have not acted on their newly acquired status. They have not signed any agreement, they have not adopted a constitution, and the people of Canada have not ratified a constitution. Such action should have been taken immediately upon the enactment of the Statute of Westminster. It is by reason of the failure of the provinces and of the people of Canada to take this action that all the anomalies in our present position exist. We have been trying since 1931 to govern ourselves federally under an instrument, which was nothing more than an act of an imperial parliament for the purpose of governing a colonial possession. Not only has this anomalous condition obtained since 1931, but it was done so without any reference whatsoever having been made to the Canadian people. They have not been consulted or anything pertaining to constitutional matters. Before there can be a federal union in Canada and a federal government, the provinces of Canada must be free and independent to consummate such a union. They have been free to do so since December 11, 1931, but they have not done so. Canada without a constitution. I therefore pose this question: whence does the Dominion Parliament derive its authority to govern this country? The Imperial Parliament cannot create a federal union in Canada or constitute a federal government for the people of Canada by virtue of the British North American Act or any other act. Only the people of Canada can do this, and they have not yet done so. Since December 11th, 1931, as an individual citizen of this country, I have had the right to be consulted on the matter of a constitution. I've had the right, along with my fellow citizens, to ratify or to refuse to ratify a constitution, but I have not been consulted in any way whatsoever. I assert, therefore, that until I, along with the majority of Canadians, ratify a constitution in Canada, there can be no constitution, and I challenge successful contradiction of that proposition. Mr. Pouliot, were you born in 1867? Mr. Cool, not that I recall. Mr. Johnston, were you? Mr. Pouliot, no. Mr. Cool, those who were in charge of Canadian affairs in 1931 were under obligation to acquaint the people of Canada with the constitutional position obtaining at that time and to prepare them so they would be able to act upon their altered status. Mr. Janicki, what about Section 7 of the Statute of Westminster? Mr. Cool, I have already answered that. I have indicated the position of the British North American Act, and I have pointed out that the people of Canada have not accepted it as a constitution. Mr. Janicki, the Statute of Westminster made the provinces autonomous. Mr. Cool, yes. Mr. Janicki, what about Section 7 of the Statute of Westminster? Mr. Cool, which one? Mr. Janicki, amending the British North American Act. Mr. Cool, just exactly as I have said, there can be no constitution in Canada, whether it is on the basis of the British North American Act or any other act, until the people of Canada accept it. They have not accepted it. Mr. Coldwell, we have been acting under the British North American Act since 1867. Mr. Cool, that does not alter the situation. Mr. Janicki, what are you going to do about it? Remedy for condition. Mr. Cool, before I assume my seat, I shall indicate definitely what to do about it. The people of Canada have not acted on the altered constitutional status, hence the deplorable constitutional position in which we find ourselves in this country. I know of no country which is in such shocking constitutional circumstances as Canada. As a native of this country, it is most humiliating to me to be obliged to continue to accept this position, and I am determined to do my part to rectify that position. Legally, Canada is in a state of anarchy and has been so since December 11th of 1931. All power to govern in Canada since the enactment of the Statute of Westminster has resided with the provinces of Canada, and all power legally remains there until such time as the provinces sign an agreement and ratify a constitution, whereby they delegate such powers as they desire upon the central government of their creation. Since December 11th, 1931, the Parliament of Canada has governed Canada on assumed power only. It is imperative that this situation be dealt with in a fundamental way. Patchwork methods will not suffice. Obviously, the first act is that the provinces of Canada shall sign an agreement authorizing the present Parliament to function as a provisional government. That is number one, in answer to my honorable friend. Secondly, steps must be taken to organize and elect a constituent assembly whose purpose will be to draft a constitution, which must later be agreed to by the provinces and then ratified by the people of Canada. The Dominion Provincial Conference is to reconvene in the near future. This would be most appropriate time and a most appropriate occasion on which to initiate action of this kind. I trust the delegates of this conference will not disappoint us in this matter. I shall observe with much interest what will be said in this conference on constitutional relationships in Canada. Proposals endorsed. To show that I am not alone in my proposal, I quote Dr. Beauchesne, that's a French name, from the evidence of the Special Committee on the British North American Act in 1935. In page 126 of the evidence, he is accredited with saying, the Statute of Westminster has altered our status. The time has come, in my humble opinion, when the British North American Act, except as to minority rights, should be transformed and a new constitution more in conformity with present conditions should be adopted. Amendments here and there would be mere patchwork, which could not last. The people of 1935 are different from those of 1867. What we want is a new constitution. The new constitution must leave nobody with a grievance. A spirit of conciliation should predominate. For these reasons, the task must be entrusted to an independent body in which all the elements of the country will be represented. I therefore beg to suggest an imposing constituent assembly formed of eminent men coming from all parts of Canada. Provincial conferences attended by a few ministers meeting behind closed doors would hardly satisfy public opinion. The debate should be public. I want the assembly to sit in a city in the West. It would not be necessary for a delegate or a member of parliament or of a provincial legislator. And on page 128, Dr. Bouchanez is reported as follows. I would suggest that the assembly do not sit in Ottawa in order that it may not have the appearance of being dominated or even influenced by the Dominion power. And as the Western provinces are such paramount importance in the country, I suggest the best city for the representatives to gather in would be Winnipeg. And again, on page 131, there have been many disputes about provincial rights since 1867, and it seems certain that when a new constitution is drawn up, the distribution of federal and provincial powers will have to be modified. On page 135, I think the time is right for a change in the constitution. I do not think you would need much publicity in order to draw to the attention of the people of this country that the British North American Act is inadequate. And finally, on page 129, whether our country should be changed from a dominion to a kingdom is also a subject which might be discussed. I would suggest that the country should be called the Federated States of Canada. I should also like to quote in this connection a resolution which was adopted at a convention of social credit supporters and monetary reform-minded people held in the city of Edmonton in 1942. This resolution is to be found on page 59 in the publication Prepare Now, issued by the Bureau of Information Legislative Building, Edmonton. It reads as follows. Whereas the Statute of Westminster, in granting complete sovereignty and equity with the Great Britain to Canada and other nations of the British Commonwealth, has changed the relative positions of the provincial and federal governments as provided in the BNA Act. And whereas it is desirable and expedient in the interests of national unity and that an interprovincial conference of appropriate representatives of the Canadian provinces be held for the purpose of reviewing and adjusting the constitutional relationship as between the provinces and their central government with a view to providing effective democratic government in Canada. Therefore, be it resolved that without any way prejudicing or jeopardizing the rights and privileges of any minority group in Canada, a comprehensive conference of representatives of the provinces be held for the purpose of considering. 1. The existing legislative and administrative organization in the provincial and federal spheres. 2. A more expedient allocation of powers as between the provincial and federal authorities. 3. Ways and means of facilitating the drafting, the adoption, and the implementation of a Canadian Constitution in keeping with the rights granted in the Statute of Westminster. I contend, Mr. Speaker, that such are the actions which should be taken before it is appropriate to adopt a distinctive national flag. I submit that the adoption of a new flag of our own designing should be the crowning act of putting our constitutional house in order. I believe that the statements which I have placed upon the record are historical facts. I believe that the conclusions which I have drawn from these facts are the only ones which can be drawn from them, and I believe consequently that the solution which I have suggested is the only one adequate for the circumstances. If honorable members of this assembly can successfully dispute either the facts which I have submitted or the conclusions which I have drawn therefrom, I shall be prepared to withdraw these conclusions. But if they do not do so, I believe the people of the country have a right to know what they propose to do in the circumstances. It was my intention to move an amendment, but as one has been moved already, I shall refrain from doing so until the amendment already moved has been dealt with. So far as the substance of that amendment is concerned, I repeat what I have previously indicated. I think it is premature to consider any flag, either the one suggested in the amendment or any other. There are other and more important actions to be taken before we consider the adoption of a new flag. Walter Cool's research included accessing the Queen's private library underneath London's Hyde Park. That is why Cool concluded Canada was never lawfully confederated into a sovereign state. Cool discussed this in Parliament. The Hansards recorded it. This is why Cool concluded Canada was never lawfully confederated into a sovereign state. Cool discussed this in Parliament. The Hansards recorded it in Link. Roger Smith wrote a book in 1965 called For Canada. Smith also argues Canada is not sovereign. It also details his search in Canada for a copy of the BNA Act. He found none. In 2006, Patrick Anthony Ellis published Fabrication of a Nation. Click on it to download his 92-page essay. Ellis also proposes Canada is not sovereign. Okay. London's Park, well, I guess. Okay. Cool discussed this in Parliament. The Hansards recorded it. Okay.
We should have read that part right beside the picture because it says he was allowed into the Queen's
You want me to
library.
read it? Okay, you can bring it down. Just bring it down for me. Bring it down for me some more. Right there. London's Hyde Park near Buckingham Palace. Walter Cool was granted access to the Queen's private library underneath Hyde Park. He concluded that Canada is not sovereign.
And that's the complete truth, for sure.
Yep, right there.
Read the one about de facto government just below. Just scroll up.
Okay, all right, go down. Keep going. Right there, obedience to de facto law. No
Yeah.
person shall be convicted of an offense in respect of an act or omission in obedience to the laws for the time being made and enforced by persons in de facto possession of the sovereign power in and over the place where the act or omission occurs. So is the de facto doctrine in Canada's criminal code because Canada is not sovereign. Canada's criminal. Okay. Conclusion. Canada Day is a national holiday every year on July 1st. In 2017, the federal government spent $500 million celebrating Canada's 150th birthday. Even if Canada is not sovereign, the de facto doctrine allows us to celebrate being Canadians, eh? Well, millions are homeless, millions are unemployed. That is why we are creating a constitution to end all the lies. Okay. Artifact below.
Eh? Yes.
Eh?
So true.
Okay. The de facto doctrine out of necessity, prevents anarchy. Oh, okay. De facto doctrine in Canada Criminal Code. The de facto doctrine is in Section 15 of Canada's Criminal Code. Obedience to de facto law. I just read this. Do you want me to read it again? No person shall be convicted of an offense in respect of an act or omission in obedience to the laws for the time being made and enforced by persons in de facto possession of the sovereign power in and over the place where the act or omission occurs. So is the de facto doctrine in Canada's criminal code because Canada is not sovereign?
That's-
Canada's criminal code uses the de facto doctrine. Conclusion? Canada Day is a national day. I think I just read this.
Yeah.
Eh?
So that's all that comes down to is you
Okay,
just
pause for a sec there.
Nothing.
So you go back to that. Go back up a little bit, please. So this is what the official website says. Why they can remain de facto is because if they don't have a de facto government in Canada, then we'd have anarchy.
Yeah, that's what it meant there, right?
Yep.
It
This
prevents
is-
anarchy.
This is copied right off their website.
It's right in their criminal code.
I know. I just,
That's basically telling me, you go into court, you say, no, I'm sovereign, up yours.
no,
What can you do?
so this is I mean, this is very important information, but I mean, if you look at all this stuff, it's just mind boggling, right? And so if we scroll down a little bit more here, so these are some of the stuff right here. We ended on this stuff here, but I wanted to get that out there. But so, the statute of Westminster, they pretty well moved the power to the corporations without any authority, without any ratification, without a constitution, without any federation. 6 people sat behind closed doors, most likely, well, parasites, we call them lawyers or attorneys, and they wrote up all this stuff, and they made these agreements between themselves, and nobody had any voice or any communication. We didn't get to choose if we wanted a monarchy, parliamentary system, a republic. Well, so this is right in their own doctrines, right? And that's what the information is very, very important, that we get this information out to the public. But all of you understand this. So reading this part here today, this morning, was more of is an upgrade to what we already know, but it gives you a better idea of the coercion, the criminal activities that they did behind closed doors. But the rest of it was just some other stuff I threw together when I was playing around with it. But so we got
I have a question, Dallas.
Sure.
What is the Hansard? It
Which
says it
one's
was
that?
recorded by the Hansard.
I'd have to go back and look that one up.
Well, it'd be obviously somebody either in the British Parliament that's recording this stuff. So it'll be there in record, right? So they were
Because
recording
it
it.
says it's recorded in the Hansard. All of that whole conversation.
I'd have to go look at that one again. I can't recall it, so. Don't your highlight. No, you have to highlight all the stuff. Scroll back up. Let me see where it says that.
That's just the official scribes.
Oh, up there, the
Where-
Canhill product.
What are
What are you
you
talking about?
Elizabeth?
Keep going up. I'll tell you when to stop.
Okay.
Keep going up.
Where?
Keep going up. Keep going up. Go up, go up, go up. This is when Cool is talking to them in the Parliament.
It says transcripts there if you look up the name there in the British Parliament. So,
Keep going, Elizabeth.
Yeah, keep going. It's where Cool is talking in the Parliament, and it says recorded by Hansards. It's in the recordings of Hansard.
Elizabeth.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to read this. Okay, I'm just going to read this. Hansard is the traditional name of the transcripts of parliamentary debates in Britain and many Commonwealth countries. It is the name after Thomas Pearson Hansard, a London printer and publisher who was the first official printer to the Parliament of Westminster. So there's your definition.
There you go. Excellent find. See, team effort.
AKA their official
So if
scribes.
it's recorded, then it's all in their history. So how come this woman who is going to court, should she not have all those recordings?
Well, we're going to get those recordings too. That's what we're working on.
Yeah,
So
she's
scroll
got
down.
everything else.
So what I want to talk about today is we're going to talk about the next part of the journey was the journey of creating a political party called the BC Refederation Party, which we created a thing called the Alberta Refederation Party to renegotiate with Ottawa's unlawful criminal cabal, removing the power from the provinces and putting it to the federal government. So we tried a political party, and the political party was correct on all of its findings. So Mel Gardner is working with Darcy Bolton in British Columbia right now, And he was the founder of the Alberta Refederation Party in Alberta, and Dennis Shaw and Terry Hanna, et cetera, with the BC Refederation Party. We all worked closely together in both the provinces, and we were going to move to Saskatchewan and Manitoba on the same ideology. But after we found out that we didn't find out, after we got struck down by the Governor General and vetoed by the Lieutenant Governor, we realized then, even though if we even made it as a political party, we were hooped. So that was the reason why we stuck with Section B, was we'll just create a constitution. Because since we don't have a constitution, the people have a lawful and legal right to create a constitution and bypass them. Can we still do it? Yes. Are we going to do it? Yes. How do we get there? To me, it's just informing, educating, which we've done. And I think with the new website, with all the information going on to it and allowing people to go there. So the next few days, we will have the Alberta Declaration up. It's going to be on video. It's going to be also on script. So that means you can read it. And we're going to put a counter in there. We want your affirmation that you agree, you want this constitution, and you're 100% supportive of this concept. And we'll start building the numbers. And once we start seeing the numbers start coming in and we see more people getting involved, we will send out the affirmation that you accept the declaration and you want a constitution to start to be ratified by the people. And we'll see what kind of numbers we do get. And then we can start going door to door.
Dallas?
Yeah.
What's the site, buddy? Say the site.
Oh, Nikki, you know it now.
I knew it before, but you say it. You mentioned it.
Okay. Unifythepeople.ca. And we have Unify the West has been working with us, and that's Jake Eccleston and numerous members of their team have joined us. And Unify the West means unify the people that want to separate, unify the people that want a divorce, unify the people that want to remove ourselves or create a constitution. Yeah, they're changing it. That's Brad, he's doing it. So we have the police, we have the home page, which is there. We have the media page. So you want to click on the media. So on the media, go down to files. On the files page, if you scroll down a little bit. Okay, the first one is Unify the People Constitutional Conventions on the top left-hand corner. Don't click on it. You can download this file, and this file gives you a brief description. It's a one-page outliner of what we're doing to create an accountable government for the people. Secondly, it gives you a QRC link to the website, the Facebook page. It also gives you information on how to contact us with our email address, et cetera, et cetera. These can be downloaded, printed off. We have some donations coming in, and we're doing it in Alberta, and we're going to be printing them off. If you need some, get a hold of us. If you can't afford it, that's fine. We understand. During this moron virus going around, people are being shut down. So this is full of information. So we have the letter to René Lévesque, addressed in Quebec, will to separate, which the people before us transcripted out for you. If you scroll down a little further, please, Brad, it's full of information. And we made a little bit of documentation of everything, of the Canada Corporation history, how they've operated from the United Kingdom, and explains to you in detail the amount of fraud that went on behind closed doors. If you scroll down further, keep going, yeah, just keep going. It's quite a collection here. A brief description on every single article's in there. They're all PDF, and they are right from the government webpage. So they're word for word for PDF. So if you need that information, okay, go back up again. We'll go up to the top there. We'll go into your choose your territories. So you go to choose your territories. Let's go to Alberta. So we go to Alberta. On the Alberta page, if you scroll down, we put up some documentation of about with the VEX letter. We put up the process of what we're going to do with our natural resources, all these documents. Scroll down. Now what we're doing here is we have the YouTube videos, which all of the documentation is being put to here for Alberta. So we have the education, we have the grants will transfer the corporation from the Canada Corp to a Republic, and we have education. As today, these are all going to be more and more are being uploaded to this site. If you go back up to, we'll go up to the territories again. We'll scroll down. Oh, we got a flaw there. Go down a little bit.
Huh.
That's okay. Should come back in a second. Oh,
There.
there we go. Go down a little bit. So we'll go to the west. Oh, go down. Yeah.
Arrow down.
You must be running out of bandwidth.
Not your page. Leave the page
Not
up
your
at the top.
page,
It's your
your
arrow you
arrow.
got to bring down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to big. So we have BC on the west, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. So this is the for British Columbia, and go scroll down. So what I've done here is we've put in a whole bunch of manuscripts for the 1763 to 1786. We also put in 1786 to 1841, the governors generals. But I've also included every single governor general right up to this date, and we put the whole Canada. Scroll down. The entire thing, whole Canada has been written out, so you can download it. You can download it on PDF file, or you can watch it on the internet too if you want to. So if you don't have the capability to download a PDF file because you don't have the space on your phone, we've created a website. You can go look at it here. You can read it all here. It's all, the entire whole Canada book has been published on the site. We also put in the 1763 Treaty of Paris, aka Treaty of Peace between friendship, which wasn't too much friendly, but it's all in there. And so if you want to do some history, background checking on the information, you'll find that everything that we put up on this website is fact and proven factual, that we are under illegal, unlawful, de facto corporation called Canada, which never had the authority to govern us, let alone to tax us. And we're going to get into the tax stuff pretty soon. And everybody asks me, how do we sell the truth of why we're doing a constitution? Well, simply put, we're being taxed to death. We have no say. The media lies. The media's fake. The propaganda. They enslave us by stealing our money, controlling the internet. All these issues where the people have no say. You can't question them in court. They know that what they're doing is illegal and unlawful. So we're creating a constitution so we, the people, can create our own court systems, our own grand juries, so we, the people, finally can have a true and legal standing where the courts actually represent the people. And we're choosing a grand jury because no one man or no one woman should decide the fate. And secondly, when you have a grand jury, you're going to pick a lot of people that are neutral, that will come to the conclusion of the best fair trial. In the Corporation of Canada, they always make it 5 years less 1 day. If they make it 5 years, 1 day plus, then you can have a jury. They always make it under, so they have control of the court systems. Everything is designed in their favor. It's all about usury, and it's all about military police force. We're under duress because of their system. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the message. So a shout out to everybody out there. Create a video that represents you and what you want in the Constitution. Why you want a Constitution. And what is a Constitution? A Constitution is guidelines that we, the people, the sovereigns, have a list of rules that the government follows, but those rules never, ever, ever harm the sovereigns' unalienable rights. So the Constitution that we're creating is sovereignty. Then we're creating our Constitution so that the sovereigns are always in control. And we'll have a constitutional committee that will be hired as employees to ensure that all administrators that work for the sovereigns will be held accountable to the full extent of the sovereign law for breaking any of the codes or trying to hamper or harm our Constitution. It's our Constitution. It's your Constitution. It's my Constitution. It's your mother's Constitution. It's your brother's Constitution. That we, the people, are the sovereigns. And that's the secret. We've never had an opportunity to create one legislation or one bill that protects the people. When they created the Charter of Rights are not you and I. There's no we the people. We actually changed our thing to, it's no longer we the people, of the people, for the people. It's sovereigns of the people. Sovereigns, sovereigns, sovereigns. Go ahead, Brad.
I got a question for you. This right here, the Republic of Alberta Black Gold, should that be in the BC category?
No, he's put it in there for now because
Okay.
Darcy's going to be putting some stuff into the BC stuff that's going to represent BC.
Yeah.
For now, we just put it in there so people can read it. And then as Darcy moves forward, because Darcy and that team was working on issues that in BC. So the lumber industry, no more raw log exports, no more of our wheat and barley being shipped away without proper due process, protecting our Peace River, Site C Dam, et cetera, all these detrimental things. BC does not need more power. BC creates enough power. BC will take back what Bill Bennett built for the BC sovereigns. That's theirs. It should have never been sold out. There's a man named Eric Anderson. He did a big consulting thing. It's called Face to Face with Paul Stein. We'll be uploading that. I have all the information from Eric Anderson of all the fraud, and we're going to be putting that onto the BC page. Also, we have the page called Water War Crimes. We'll explain to you the devastation of every single politician, all of them in cahoots, from Gordon Campbell back all the way to HST scam, the GST scam, et cetera. If these don't affect you and get you awake to the situation that we face, we hear about the internet shutting down. We hear about this. We hear about this. One thing we can do is ensure the people get their sovereignty. And how we're going to do that? By pushing the information. And we always say that, we can go back to 1931, 1901, 1867. The information is there if you want to read it. But we can give you enough information just with the BNA Act, just with the fact there's a $25,000 reward out there for anybody that can find the Federation Papers. And if you can't find it and they can't produce it, and as we all know right now, Donna's Ferrari is put this to the Queen's Bench in Alberta. Now it's going federally to all the provinces. So that's the route that Donna Ferrari is working on, which is great. It's given us great exposure. We're all working on the same front line. The front line is we, the sovereigns, have never had a choice and never had an opportunity to have our opinions or our voices, what we want, how we want to be governed. We've been dictated, and that's the problem. Until we have accountability, we have nothing. We don't have accountability in the police force. We don't have accountability in the court systems. We don't have accountability in the news. And we definitely have the most corrupt government. No different than the other governments, but our government is corrupt. They're not even our government. It's a legal, unlawful dictatorship of the oligarchs, or the Westminster, or the parliamentary, or the new Westminster, whatever you want to call them. They don't represent us. It's time for us, for the people, the sovereigns, to represent themselves. There you go. So if you guys want to add anything, so we have the YouTube channel set up. This is a brand new YouTube channel. It only has 6 subscribers now, but it's made, and this is going to be our official site, and it'll be set up, and I'm hoping that everybody can use it. We'll give out the password to the administrators for now. They'll set it up, and they can broadcast through this. This will be set up to our webpage. And so we'll have YouTube, and then once we get through what's ever happening with the Zoom channel to broadcast to Facebook, we'll get that resolved as soon as possible. Go ahead, Brad. I can't hear you. Got to unmute.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
We also have our Zoom channel. If you go to
Oh, here, go down to media, Brad. Go down to media. On our page, go to media. No, right there. Go down.
For some,
Go down to Zoom.
Yeah, we also have our Zoom
Click
meeting,
on that.
guys, on under media.
We're gonna move that to the front page. So just walk them through it, Brad.
Yeah, see right here. You just click on this link right here, download and run Zoom, and then it'll load up Zoom, and then
Just go back one. Yep.
yeah, it'll load up Zoom, and then you just enter in the meeting number, the meeting ID 792-635-2550, and then enter in your name and hit join meeting.
Yep.
And then you
Go back
can
to media again, Brad.
write
Yep.
a Constitution.
Yep. Go back to media again. Go to Unify. Up here to your second browser. Just click over to your second browser. Be next to your Zoom. Yep. Okay. So if you go to media again, go down to video roll. So we got that there. Now, if you click to the right, there's Al Rourke. Click to the right. No, just yeah. Take it off select all. So you can go through the videos. These are all the Patriots. You got to take your mouse and put it over top of the thing there. Not there. No, to the right. No, to the right. To the arrow.
Oh.
There you go. There. Oh. So we have these videos here. Donna Farley stuff updates. Go right. This is the last one that Brad went over top was Canada, a country without a constitution. So we're putting all the videos up here on a roll too, so you can go scroll through them. Scroll through a bit. Scroll through again. Keep going. Yep. Keep going. There's a bunch of videos here. So now you can scroll down a little bit to Bank of Canada. So this is Victoria Grant. She's 11 years old when she made this video. She was talking about the banking theft of Canada. We're going to have a whole banking section. We just finished up. I think we've got 8 videos coming up. They're no longer than 2.5 to 3 minutes long of how the banking system was hijacked from 1974 by Trudeau, Pierre Trudeau, when he sold us out to the globalists. And after you watch those 8 videos of the banking fraud, you'll understand how the insurance companies colluded with all the insurance companies colluded together with the private banking cartel. We'll also get into when Harper in 2007, 2008 bailed out all the bankers, the big banks, TD, Scotia, CIBC, billions and billions of dollars of taxpayers' slave money. And after they got 3 months later, they were booming. They never paid back the money, and the tax slaves had to eat this massive debt. Everything they do is 100% fraud. And once the people understand that fraud, they're going to work harder to get a constitution. That's our goals. And hopefully we get more people. Well, we will get more people involved because the numbers are growing. So if we go up to the join the movement, on this page, you scroll down. You put your name in, your last name, your email, your phone number, address. If you don't want to put your phone number in and your address, that's fine. You'll still get subscribe to us, and we will send you information. But if you want to be connected to other people in your local area, we are building a database of all the people in British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Northwest Territories, et cetera, and that is being sent out to all the people individually in their own provinces. So you can work in your province, and there's numerous people that are from Duncan, Victoria, Williams Lake, Kelowna, Prince George, Cranbrook, Fernie. Today we had 3 people come in from Fernie, brand new. Some from Canal Flats. We have Jaffrey. We have people now joining up in Creston. So the people in Creston and Cranbrook and Fernie all belong in East Kootenays. They'll be in a region of East Kootenays. At the same time, you got people coming in from Salmon Arm. And you could have, you might not even know these people that are in your town of Cranbrook because the population of 20,000. There could be a whole bunch of people in Cranbrook. We're going to connect you to those people in these Kootenays, and you can work on doing your constitutional convention meetings and teaming up. And when we start doing the campaign and going out to educate the people, it'll make it a lot easier. So that's why we put it all in there. If you want to be connected, be connected. We'll still send you the list. But right now, it's all of us united together, communicating and meeting up and ending the moron virus. I love that moron virus one. Does anybody else want to add something about the webpage? Talk about anything?
I like the video you did on the moron virus, Dallas.
You want to go play that video?
Yeah, put the link in the chat.
Yeah. No, go up to Roll Media.
Oh, through media here?
Go to media.
It's on the page here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been looking at that thing. It's awesome. You guys are just doing awesome.
No, you got to go up. Just go right, Brad. Click on the arrow. Yeah. It says break. It says, I think it says, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. Holy, how many videos do you got here, Dallas?
Right there.
Oh,
Back up one.
Awesome, bro.
Hey, Dallas, I got a question that brought to me too is, okay, who is going to cover our insurance? Because, you know, we're definitely going to have like personal insurance, like auto
What insurance?
and house. What's
For what?
that?
For
Well,
what
like
insurance?
auto and house, like, you know, who's going to be our backers for insurance?
What do you mean by insurance?
Well, okay, if you get into a car accident, you're definitely not going to be able to fix the other person's car. So you're going to have some type of public liability insurance.
Okay.
for some reason it won't. play
Irene,
that video,
yeah,
Dallas.
they might have blocked it. They don't like my video. So I'll find it a second here. So Irene from the Shuswap, sorry, not Shuswap, Squamish Nation, they bought an insurance policy for everybody's insured. And if it doesn't, and yeah, they might have, let me see this thing. I'll check on my side, Brad. They may have taken it down. They don't like anything truthful, right? You know that, right?
Yeah.
But that's a private company insurance, and we're not going to have that in the Republic Sovereign.
Well, when we get to the insurance part of it, people can decide what they want. They want to buy their own private insurance. They can buy what they want.
Who's going to sell it to you, though?
Well, I don't know. People have to decide, but that's minor.
Okay.
I mean, that's like going into bills. I mean, I think people will. Myself personally, yes, you'll need insurance. Will it be insurance you pay every year? I think the most important thing is people do have accidents, but when people have accidents, is it my responsibility to pay for a guy that has 17 accidents? No, it's not.
No, that's what the penalty is in your increasing of insurance.
For that person, not me. I drove for how many years, never had an accident, so why should I have to be penalized? I shouldn't even be paying for insurance now. It should be free.
Yeah, I totally
Seriously.
agree.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
But who is going to back it? Like, where's the money going to be backed from?
I don't know. We haven't got that far.
Well, it's just a question.
I know what you're saying. I mean, we can set up. I mean, I think people are smart enough to figure out that there will be certain companies that will do insurance. We won't be gouged like we're being gouged like now. Look at BC. We had ICBC, was supposed to be owned by the people of British Columbia. It had over $10 billion surplus cash in 2010, and they stole all that money from the people, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we got. So I think with 1.5 million people in BC and not even most of them drive, I think $10 billion is overkill. And where'd the money go?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So that's what we got.
I totally agree.
Oh, yeah.
It's
See,
just
I mean, things like that, that'll be in legislation. That'll be in, free market value, whoever. I mean, we don't want communism. So we also want guidelines that people aren't going to get, hooped and screwed, right?
well, that's what I'm trying to say is the guideline's going to have to go into the Constitution for insurance. Other words, you're going to have private companies again gouging the people. I guess I'll say go ahead, Brad.
Okay, Reg, are you still there?
Yeah.
Where's this day you were talking about?
Okay. If you go to our website there, the history lessons.
You can't
Yeah.
go there. Oh, you can. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you see the screen
Okay.
right now, Reg? I have it brought up.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the map. You go
Yeah.
down on the onto the fifth paragraph, the fourth line, and you will read. Just let me. I wrote it all down. I don't know. I probably just turfed it. I thought you were doing it already. Anyway, you go down there and you'll see. Where is it?
See it on your screen, right?
Yeah. Just give me a second. Go up. Scroll up a bit.
Oh, I can't. So you don't want me clicking on the map then?
Oh, what the hell? How come it's so small?
You
Okay,
can,
so
you can expand
scroll
it on
down
your
a bit.
screen.
The whole thing's there.
Yeah, see, this
Scroll
is
it down
how it's
so I can
written in the map.
Just scroll it down, please, and I'll show you on the map. Just go to the map.
He's on
Put
the map
on
already.
the page. No, I can't
Scroll
see the
down
map.
anymore.
I-
This is the end of the
Okay.
map. I can't scroll down anymore.
Okay. Okay. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Unless did
I
you
can't
click
see
on
it.
this map?
I'm gonna find here. I'll just go on my own here.
Okay.
Just hang on.
This is on the Constitution, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, he said
It's just
the
a word. It just
word they was there and it should have been the.
yeah.
So I'm
So
just
we got
asking
one,
where
two,
Hey,
so I
Brad,
can-
stay there for a sec. I want to check these videos out, make sure they're working. Can you go back to the videos?
Yeah.
Yeah, go right.
Okay, it says once approved, they regional administrators will inform the final decision concluded
Okay, hold
on.
on.
Concluded
Stop a
on
sec,
this.
Brad.
Play it.
Yeah, well, Reg, when we get to the Constitution part there, just send a quick text message on that part of it. Hit play. I want to see the work, please.
Yeah, they do actually. I checked it today.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm a
they
farmer in
all work.
Manitoba.
I checked it out. It
I
looks
looked
awesome.
around.
Okay, hit pause.
Everything looks fine out here.
No, they don't all work because that one didn't work about the things. Okay, hit X there, please.
Yeah.
Okay, come out of that one. So we're gonna have to figure out why that one's not working. We can check these later as long as they're all working, I guess.
That one's working.
Okay, excellent.
That one's working.
Welcome back to Cooperate.
Okay, we'll check them all later. If you
Okay.
guys just check them out all time to time to make sure they're working.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did. They all seem to work. The
Except
whole
for one.
website looks just dead.
Except
coming,
for the
eh?
very, very last one. That's the one he tried to go on to. Yeah.
Oops, I don't know what I did there. I think I accidentally clicked.
Just gonna
Hi,
start
my
up.
name's Albert. I'm born and raised.
Oops.
There we go.
Go to the very last one, Brad, because that was the one I think you had the problem on.
You gotta click the X, Brad.
You can go down to the zero or
Yeah.
down to the bottom of the page and click on the one you want to.
These seem to work.
Yeah. You can click on one of those. You can click on that N0 and it'll go there automatic.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, this one here for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, this is the one now. Yeah, here it is. It's coming up as an error.
Wow.
So other words, it's your last one that isn't working now.
It was working. It was working that day there, so they might have pulled it down.
Oh,
I'll
it was
check it out.
working yesterday when I checked.
So, okay, okay, stop there a sec, Brad. Now, I want you to click on the Facebook up the left-hand side, Facebook, left-hand side. When you click on this link, you can share it out to anybody. You can put a little note in there, say, join us on Unify. You click share. If you have a Twitter account, they have it set up. So if you have a Twitter account, you can share this information to Twitter. Same as Google Plus. So Brad's going to put down posts to Facebook after he's finished here. Right?
Put a no there. You got .ca, okay.
So now that's done. You don't have to put it automatically go that way. Go to Twitter. So if you have a Twitter account, you have a Twitter account, Brad?
Yeah.
So you log in. So we set this up. So if you have Google, Twitter, printer press, email, a LinkedIn, et cetera, these are all the programs. So you can log in if you can share the information to your Twitter account.
Go to the email one. Let's see.
I'm going to go slow here.
Okay.
No, I guess I don't have access to my Twitter right now.
Okay.
I have my password.
Okay, so if you have Twitter, you can do this. You got Google Plus, you've got Printer Press. What do you call it? LinkedIn's in there, et cetera. So these are all set up. I'm going to show you how to get to Facebook. We're going to be we've got the links on Facebook put right inside the pages on each of the provinces. Okay, just come out of there for a sec, Brad. Now go to join your province and territory. Actually, no, go down to media. Go down to files. Click on Facebook. It'll take you right to the We the People Facebook page. Now we're going to put in constitutional conventions for BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba on all the provinces or sovereign nation pages. So they can go right to their own page, upload their information, et cetera. We have administrators on all the pages that are true sovereigns that want this to happen. So we're not going to get hijacked by letting anybody else jump in there, like the Yellow Vest Canada. It only promotes crap, useless information. Some of it is good, some of it's bad, some of it's great. Yellow Vest Calgary with Chris Herod and Agent 99 and all those guys are doing a great job on their page. They've got control of their page for Yellow Vest Calgary. Yellow Vest Edmonton's going to do the same thing. We need patriots. We don't need to be hijacked. The information is available. We're going for our sovereignty. So the pages that we set up, you can come out of that, Brad. Just click X on the Facebook. So on this page again, if you go back to, so actually, if you go into click on the YouTube channel. So click on videos. So if you go to the videos here, all the videos coming up are coming in. Keep going down. We're asking everybody to create a quick video, why they want a constitution, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Scroll down. Okay, click on the breaking news alert.
Good morning, everybody. Special announcement. Some crazy stuff going on. There's a new virus out, and I want to get everybody alarmed to it right now. So, some good news at the very end. It's called the moron virus. It's an infectious disease mainly affecting dupes and low IQ individuals who have lost critical thinking abilities. It turns otherwise decent people into dangerous carriers of disinformation. Moron virus appears to be highly contagious. It is being spread over TV, the internet, communications, and is running rampant through both the mainstream media and alternate medias too. Due to this number of truthers on the internet who appear to have this disease, it appears that the moron virus is actually an engineered weapon of a highly complex parasite and is being spread by the parasite drones. Symptoms, these are the symptoms. They include this: believing the bullshit being spewed on from the media, cheering as the government shuts down everything, advocating for social distancing and self-quarantining. This is called the moron virus, everybody. You got to be careful with this one, I'm telling you. But I got some special news at the very end here. So also this very, very important is chastising and shaming people who don't agree with this moron virus. Trusting the medical and pharmaceutical industry to help us stay alive. Thinking a surgical mask is a lifesaver. Selective amnesia regarding recent pandemics. So the moron virus, I'm just giving you a heads up on this one. We have a cure for the moron virus. Seriously, we do. It's amazing. So you can find all this information. Just go to our website. It's called unifythepeople.ca. That's the cure. Get on board. Pass this out to all your family and friends. We got to clear up the moron virus. Thank you. This was a special alert. Again, we are also, there's also information on We the People Constitutional Conventions page. We have pages set up on all the provinces and territories. So it's Constitutional Conventions for Alberta, Constitutional Conventions for Saskatchewan, Constitutional Conventions for Alberta, etc., etc. We also have lots of information again on unifythepeople.ca. So if you know this virus, we got to stop this virus. It's very complex. It's vital. It takes away critical thinking. So please point all your friends and family to this page. This is the cure. Thank you and have a great day. Good morning, everybody.
Close it down. So what else do you want to know, Reg?
Well, just, I was looking at everything and, on that map, on the one,
That's the
2,
Constitution.
3.
Yeah, we're going to get to the Constitution later. So there's an
Okay.
issue on that one, on the one map. When we get down to that,
That's the word they instead of the.
Pardon me?
Just they instead of the. That's all I
Okay,
found,
okay,
right?
Yep, that's good.
But,
When we get to
everything
that
is
part-
looking awesome.
Oh yeah, thanks.
I'm just trying to share a bunch of, I'm just going through my email addresses, which aren't very many.
Yeah.
But, and trying to get them to look at this Unify. I think it's just deadly website. It's just awesome.
Well, it's going to get
I'm
better
trying
and
to share
better
it
as
all out.
more and more people, like we were asking everybody to put up their own video, why they want a constitution, why they want an accountable government. We all want an accountable government. How do we get to that point? And that's the message.
Yeah,
No,
whoever's
it's a
doing the
very,
work
very
on the
simple
website,
message.
they're doing a deadly job.
Pardon me?
Whoever's doing the work on the website, they're doing a deadly job.
Well, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
So
we
it
need
makes it
that,
easier
man.
for us. They can come there, they get all the information. And with the shadow blocking of YouTube, the shadow blocking of Facebook, et cetera, you don't have any free speech. At least on this site, you're going to get to it. There's a blog section on here. You can ask questions right now on the blog page. If you ask questions, we'll respond to them as soon as possible. But like everything else, we have a lot on our plate. It's all up to you. If you want to volunteer to answer some of the questions, you can. We'll give you administration. You can go in there and direct people to go to where. But you should know the website, and hopefully the videos that we're doing in the next few days, we have lots of videos coming out. They're 1 or 2 minute long videos. They explain a lot of different things, how we're going to do the banking, why we have the sovereign right to create our own currency, which is very important. Once that's all done, each person, if they have special skills with IT work, bloggers, if they have printer press.
Me again. You're a patriot in Canada.
They can play that video there.
Here, hold on.
Have you seen this video yet, Reg?
I don't know. Which one?
This one, Dallas?
Yeah, right in the middle, yeah.
I'm not by member's office or member of parliament's office, Kevin Watt.
full screen it. Hold on.
My other friends here, the Saskatoon Police Service. I need to make an appointment to get representation through my Member of Parliament's office. It's Tuesday, 5th of February. The store says it's supposed to be open. Doors are locked. They're denying me representation. They're using a form of intimidation to not let me get representation. We've been waiting here now for at least 20 minutes to try to get an appointment made to see Mr. Kevin Waugh, Member of Parliament, not so honorable gentleman. This is all regarding Canadian citizens' liberty. It has been stripped from us, stolen. And as a patriot, I want it back. And I don't want to be intimidated by people like this or like that and having the doors locked on me. This is not the representation and democracy Canada deserves. This is getting out of hand. It's past ridiculous. Now they're here right now. I don't know if they're going to let me talk to anybody or let me make an appointment, but we'll see what this guy's got to say. Can I make an appointment to see my Member of Parliament, Kevin Waugh?
Yeah, just call the number. So, how are you doing today, Wayne?
So the number is 306-975-6472, and I'll call that number and I'll try to get an appointment to see my Member of Parliament, the not so honorable Kevin Waugh. And to this guy here, I don't answer questions.
All right.
You too, man. Be a patriot. Stop this fucking bullshit in the de facto government, man.
Isn't patriot kind of more of an American term?
Do you realize what you're saying, sir? This is going to be broadcasted, you know? Do you realize what you just said?
No, I'm not too sure. What do you mean?
You just asked me if patriot is an American term.
I usually hear that referred to as American.
Patriot is somebody who loves their country.
Well, I do love my country.
And you're an educated man. You just made yourself look like an idiot.
Wayne, is there anything I can help you with today?
Yeah, you can help me arrest Kevin Waugh for committing gross negligence. Gross negligence is not denying me representation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Could you tell me your community policing policy?
Which aspect of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms?
Number 8.
Which one's that?
Do you know you're obligated to uphold it? It's part of your oath of office. Now, this is part of your community policing. Part of your community policing policy. Do you know what that is?
I'm not sure where you're going.
Sure. Do you know your community policing policy?
I'm just curious.
No, you're not answering my question. You're trying to beat around the bush.
Well,
do you know your policing? Because if you don't know
I'm not too sure what your problem is today.
If you don't know what you're doing here, and if you don't know your community policing policy, you don't deserve to be wearing that badge. Because you don't know what your obligations are.
So when they had some issues today, so they're going to close the office until further notice.
Issues regarding me, issues meaning me, right?
Well, I don't think that there's any real need.
So why are you here then?
Anyways, well, I got a call just to make sure that everything was okay here, and everything seems fine to me.
Well, of course it is.
Yeah.
There's just a patriot here wanting representation.
Okay.
For my tax dollars.
So, do you know where Kevin is right now?
Yeah, he's in Ottawa. So they're going to deny me and making an appointment because he's in Ottawa? Yeah, that's
why are you in Saskatoon at his office if you know he's not here?
I just found this out, and why I don't have to answer that question. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Anyways, I don't have to waste my time with this guy, sir. You should educate yourself on your community policing policy, because as a fact, you're obligated to protect the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and including number 8, my liberty is being infringed, and you should have your ass in there and arresting those people for violating the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So you should just go educate yourself on your community policing policy. Until then,
I'm not entirely sure how your liberty was not.
What's your definition of liberty?
Well, you're
what's your definition of liberty?
You're liberated right now, my friend.
What's your liberty? What's your definition of liberty?
There's the right to arbitrary detention, for one.
He doesn't even know his job. He doesn't even know his job.
Drive safe today.
Idiots. Just idiots.
That was a
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good video.
Yeah.
Okay. That's dangerous. Babe, can I get in there? Please?
Yeah.
I see you put my little girl on there, right?
Your little girl.
Yeah, the one on the banking.
Oh, the one on the banking.
Anyway, I think it's awesome, awesome site.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I just sent out everyone I know. And I'm gonna be, really, really pushing this site.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it answers everything. You don't have to say nothing. Here, look at this. Peruse this site, please, and let me know what you think. You can join up, you can do whatever. I mean, it's just deadly tool. For as long as it lasts.
Can you sit on Daddy's lap, please, Aurora? I want to sit there, please. I'll move you. I'll remove you.
Brad, you look a little crusty this morning.
Yeah.
You look a little crusty. Well, I'm pretty crusty myself, so there's one crusty guy to another.
Yeah. Yeah, rough night last night.
No, Aurora.
No sleep?
Sorry?
No sleep?
Well, not really. Oh,
Why not?
Been there and done it.
kept waking up.
Yeah. Story of my
I fell
life.
asleep in the living room, and then I woke up halfway through the night. I fell asleep watching a movie on my computer, and then woke up. It was over, so shut that down. Went to the bedroom. My daughter was hogging my whole bed, so I went back out to the living room to continue sleeping, and I didn't sleep very well.
I hear you. I went through all that stuff back in the early 80s.
Yeah, because
when
our
I had
daughter,
my little kid.
like, I love her to death, but she won't go to bed unless she's sleeping in the bed with me and my wife. That's the only.
Do you know how I cured my little guy? He wouldn't go to bed. He kept coming out of his bedroom. So I just tied the door. We never had a lock, so I tied the door, and he screamed and yelled for half an hour. And my wife, oh, you can't do that. I said, I'm doing it. Period. End of story. She's so mad at me. And then a half an hour later, I opened the door. He was right by the door asleep. I put him in the bed, tucked him in. The next night, it was 15 minutes. The third night, it was about 5 minutes. And then the fourth night, he was cured. Warren, it's time to go to bed. Okay, Dad. Into bed he went, right? And that was the end of the story. Period.
I tried doing things like that, but my wife, right? You know what she would do?
But you have to.
She would
My wife was so mad at me, but I proved it. It's just like breaking a horse, man. You got to keep riding him till he stops bucking.
Yeah.
Right? It's not harmful for your kid. It's teaching him to listen,
Oh, I know.
They're too young.
I don't want to have 11, 12-year-olds sleeping in the bed with me and my wife, right?
Exactly. I had a girlfriend.
Okay,
one time,
we're
and her
live.
daughter was 9 years old, and she was still sleeping with Mama.
Okay,
9 years old.
we're live.
Yeah. Okay.
First, people's unalienable rights are their rights.
Hey, I was gonna ask on live, are we having a problem with Facebook again? I see it's YouTube.
No, we tried YouTube.
Pardon me, Big?
No,
Al, what?
Oh, I just said, I noticed that live was YouTube. Are we having a problem with Facebook again?
Yes, we discussed that this morning. Were you here for that? No, you missed all that?
I wasn't here this morning.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, Facebook wouldn't let us broadcast.
So
we've,
we paid.
Let me finish so I can get it out to you. So we set up a new YouTube account. So it's strictly just for doing the lives through Zoom. So we'll have the administrators set up so everybody can get that account. So Scott and everybody else. And what I'd like also to do is we'll do a tutorial on the websites, 2 minutes, 3-minute little tutorials, how to join Zoom. So it makes it easier for people that are brand new to Zoom, because Zoom is a great opportunity for us to communicate. If YouTube shuts us down or Facebook shuts us down, we can still come in here, still work on our projects, which is really, really good. So we're going to be doing that tutorial. We'll be doing that in the next 2 days. Scott Rayner has another account. I also want to hold a board of director meetings here coming up in the next few days on launching our nonprofit. So I'm thinking probably Saturday. I'm gonna see what everybody's schedule is. Jake and everybody else and Tom and Eric and Sandy, et cetera, everybody to come into that meeting so we can discuss setting up the nonprofit, setting up the corporation page. They're all finished. Once they get back and finalized, we're gonna upload them to the website. And that way people know that this is a protected site and everything they're doing is gonna be transparency. And that's how we're gonna do it. We've had some donations come in. We're gonna use those donations. We'll discuss what the money will be spent for. And if people want to do flyers or they want to print out more designs, we are getting a lot of people coming in from British Columbia and a lot of people from Ontario, and Alberta's phenomenal, the amount of people coming and joining, so that's good. We need to concentrate on Saskatchewan and Manitoba. So maybe we should start putting up some literature for Manitoba and Saskatchewan and start with our printing press and sending over the information and changing the Republic of Alberta logos. If they feel fine in Saskatchewan, putting up those logos, they can put them on their vehicles, et cetera, so we can start putting out some funds to get those provinces some help so they can build up their numbers. And right now, we're looking for administrators to work on the emails that are coming in to respond, et cetera. And what we're discussing is auto reply that we're going to be setting up on the week by Saturday. It automatically will do it for us. It's a program which will save us a lot of time because right now we're doing it manually, and it's becoming, which is great. We get to talk to the people right away and respond. But if we get an automatic reply, they get the information and then they can come back and go to the blog sites, get more informed. What do you call it? Tim, he's finishing up the new documentary. It's going to be in a little bit of a cartoon character about the Canada, a country without a constitution, that was done by Dennis Shaw and Reginald Argonaut Angus back in 2009. They're going to edit that, put it into a cartoon character, and talk about just what the main video part says. It's going to be a 3 or 4 minute video, which is going to be kind of different. Looking forward to that project being finished, and we're just going to keep moving forward. Does anybody else want to discuss anything today?
I have one thing to add to what you just said, Dallas. Anybody in the Calgary area or doesn't mind driving up to Airdrie, if you have a hard time printing or downloading the flyer or anything, give me a call at 587-834-2554 and ask for Brad, and I'll print you off some flyers.
There you go. So that they worked on the Constitution last night. We're going to be doing a new update to the changes, the added parts. Now we're putting it into segments of education, immigration, the laws, et cetera, as we proceed down. So we're going to be working on that the next 2 or 3 days. And like I said, the videos are coming out. So also this new YouTube channel, please subscribe to it so we can get it out there so more and more people see it. There you go. What do you got to say, Elizabeth?
I have a question.
Oh.
I don't know if I should ask.
Don't sound good.
That's all good. What's your question?
My question is this. Yeah, I'm listening to you tell about what you're up to, and why are you forming a corporation?
Oh, we had no choice. We didn't want to. We didn't want to, but under the new legislation of the de facto illegal unlawful corporation thing they call Canada Inc.
Okay.
If they deem it possible that your content goes against their BS, we'll call it for now, they can remove your website if it's not protected. So they'll need a court injunction. By going corporation, we protect that. So they'll have to give us notice through a court injunction. to show us what's not suitable to their Islamophobia, Semitic lies that they use against the people for freedom of
Okay.
speech. So a
Yeah.
court injunction will have to be offered before they can pull down our websites. No different than they did with Mike from Natural News. They tore down his website. They tore down another one was called Red Ice because it didn't go, because they don't want truth on the internet, right? So he wasn't incorporated. So the corporation
Okay.
is still going to protect us, and also we want transparency. If people are going to donate money for the cause,
Yeah.
to protect them, so it's going to go through a nonprofit. To do that, we had to go corporation wise.
Okay.
Does
So
that make sense?
that makes sense to me. I understand that. So that's why you have directors and you're
Yeah.
doing it all in more of a company form. Okay.
Well, we are, I mean, if anybody does listen to Donald Trump, we are running a business, and the business is running a nation is a business, not a free for all where you can hire drama teachers and ex-bartenders to run the mining industry, or have a math teacher appointed to a wildlife biologist in Invermere under the name of Bob Forbes and Rick Morley and Rita Marche that got their diploma out of a Cracker Jack box and pretend that they're unglet specialists.
Okay. Yeah,
You
I
follow
get
me?
it. Yes, I do.
So
I
we
do.
are running this as a educational, and we're trying to pick people with skill sets. So when we do hire our employees, by the way, we will never have another liar, thief, politician
Yeah.
ever hired again. We're not going to hire liars and attorneys and lawyers. What do you want to call the liars, thieves, as politicians? We're going to hire sovereign men and women that care about their nation, that want to proceed to protect all the people's rights. And that's the difference between us and the parasites.
Yeah. Okay, I understand that now. Okay, makes sense to me now. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have skilled people, and we're getting more and more skilled people. I got a meeting today, actually, with another group that's joining us. We have young fellas like Jake and Cody Holler that are exceptionally talented in many skills, and there's more and more people coming out. As we progress through here, I've really noticed that Heather Prideaux's daughters are becoming very educated and listening, so they'll be becoming very good educators to their friends. And that's the only way we're going to do it, is we have to educate more people to become educated. And as Russell Rogers always said, we always use his lines, how can you get divorced if you're never married?
Yeah, I understand that.
To become educated, you got to become liberated. We want more people to. We are going to be putting up the documentation of 1922 was written in Cranbrook, British Columbia. Native Sons and Daughters. It was passed to Vancouver in 1925. We're going to be putting that information up. How we have vetted immigration, and in order for society to succeed, you have to have a particular segment of the population that actually wants to benefit the entire nation. That's very important. Many people have talked about a hold on immigration for 5 years into the Republic of Alberta. That will go out to the people to decide if they want ratification on that. It's up to the people. And right now, we can't take care of our own because of the corrupt government. So it's time for the people to take care of each other and create something, a document that gives them the power, right? That puts them in supreme authority. And we went through yesterday, we all went through the fraud of the United States Constitution. And I think that was very, very vital so people could understand what and how their Constitution got hijacked. And I think it was very informative. What did you think, Elizabeth?
Oh, I thought it was very good. I got kicked out in that final, and I just didn't go back in again. So I never finished the second one we went through. But what I did find out was very, very good. I noticed it's worded a little differently than what you want, like the way ours is written right now, quite a bit differently worded. Now, I have a question about that. Is there a reason for that? Is that because their wording caused them to get hijacked where ours is will not?
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
The way we figured it was in order for the sovereigns to maintain that power, we set it up so that the system is designed that the administrators of all levels, they start at the local level, and nothing goes past the local level without the sovereigns saying yes or no. So we'll always say like this: the bills and acts and statutes. We'll call them bills, legislation, whatever the people decide. I prefer if we use bills. And then once the bills are passed, then they become law. So a bill gets presented, the sovereigns in that area make the changes to it, then it goes up to the administrators of all 11 regions in Alberta. And the 11 regions are broken up into territorial of population base wise, et cetera, et cetera. So those areas, those administrators all meet, they all discuss it, they go back to their own local levels, bring the information that, so the people in, we'll say the region down by Medicine Hat and Red Cliff, et cetera. Now the region up in Cold Lake.
Yes.
Their administrators would meet with the other 11 administrators and they would all discuss it and then bring it back to the local level. The local level will decide, it goes back up. It doesn't matter if it takes 3 months or 6 months or 9 months for them to come to a conclusion that benefits all the people. Right now, these bills are passed through this de facto unlawful illegal corporation where there's no transparency. They hide things in the bills. And is it incompetence or is it corruption? Well, we know it's corruption. I'll just say it right out. They pass these things in the disguise of hidden secrets. They know they exist. The average person does not have time to go read all their lies. They put it out there, they're going to do this under the Health Act, but they slip in some BS in the Health Act that allows transgender bathrooms to be created without anybody noticing it, or some other bullshit like, the bail-in, which most people don't understand what the bail-in act means. It means they're going to steal your money. If the fraud, the government.
Yeah, they are. They're just going to take more from you. Yeah, I understand that, and I like the idea of transparency, and I like the idea of all the different areas within the country of Alberta. I like that, so that each section has a say. There's no one that has more say than the other.
That's right. Ultimate power is ultimately what?
Is us.
Ultimate power is what to give you. Ultimate corruption.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You can never allow one, and we have this party whip in the corporation of de facto unlawful illegal parasite thing called Canada, where these parasites, even if you hire, well, we can go back to the Little Child case, 1990, but when you read the Little Child, now you read the Little Child. You want to give so you did a video on the Little Child that we're uploading today.
Yes.
And when you read that, what was your thoughts? What did you think of that?
What did I think of that? I thought how can that be that they are not accountable for their lies and deception to the people that voted them in? I was blown away when the judge said that we have no rights. The only thing we have rights is to vote. That's the only time we have to say it. Is when we go to vote. He said the only way you can make any changes to anything someone does in the parliament is when they are running for election and you vote them out if you don't like them. Like, that's what I took from that. I'm thinking, what? So the question I had was, how did this law come into being? Like, how did that law come into being? It's not a law, but he said it says right in the books there, it states that all Parliamental people are protected. But I never ever heard of a law like that growing up. I never heard any of that. I heard that they were accountable to us.
No.
See, that blew me away. That really blew me away what the judge said.
Well, for reference, here's the case, right?
Yeah.
You guys all see it? Yes, no?
Yeah, I can see it.
So here's the case. So Jay Wilton, Little Child MP versus the Canadian slaves. Oh, sorry, Canadian citizens.
Citizens.
Same thing, slaves.
I didn't say
So-
slaves.
Yeah. So as we go through this here, I'm just gonna go through real quick here because we got it up now. And if we scroll down, so the plaintiffs were the Canadian slaves in Wetaskiwin, Alberta on the 10th of December, 1990. The proceedings of court, Queen's Bench, law courts, right, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not even gonna say honorable because none of them are honorable. His name's E. Marshall, court's Queen's Bench, not Alberta, Alberta
I
Bench
noticed that, yeah.
or Alberta anything, but the Queen's Bench of the molesters, sorry. So official court record, thank you as well, blah, 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 blah. It appears the action is a claim of breach of duty on part of the MP of the plaintiffs. It seems clear on the authorities and I noted in Roman Corporation. So if you can't see this,
yeah,
it's right here. I've highlighted it. Can you see that blue?
Yep.
Okay, so Roman Corporation, which has been cited. So when you read through this thing here, and we have this on the website, unifythepeople.ca, under the files section, you can go through it. We have videos coming up. So for the hearing impaired and the people that are blind, we're going to have it in voice, writing, and we're also have somebody doing it in sign language for us. So we're working on a lot of ideas so everybody can get the information, and we're going to try to do what we can to make sure you get the information. So if you go down, you scroll down, so it appears the only remedy exists for the plaintiffs is this remedy provided by our Constitution, not your Constitution, our Constitution. So their Constitution is their constitutional act, not your constitutional. Okay. Their Constitution. The Roman Empire Constitution, or you want to call it the scam thing. So I'm satisfied that no court can compel the defendant to account to the slaves.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So I am dismissing blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
This is the fraud that we have. This is the corruption.
Yeah.
So that just gives you a good indication. So these Zooms are really good for us now as more and more people are using them. And like I said, we're going to do a tutorial on the Zoom. So when you go to the website, it's going to be like a 3 or 4 minute tutorial, how to log into Zoom. You click on the Zoom, you download the application. It takes 2 minutes. And after that, once you're set up, you don't have to create an account on Zoom. You can go there, give your own profile account. And from that time on, all you have to do is click on the link. You join right away. You don't have to add anything in for ID numbers once you join. And if you have to add it in, the number, we'll have the number posted. If you want to phone in, we'll put the numbers in there for all of Canada. The number to phone in, we'll put that number in there so you can phone in.
No, that's a good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And like Elizabeth, you phone in from Sweden.
Yes.
So that means it's working good.
Yeah.
We've had more and more people phone in.
Yeah, I've been using that number the whole time, so the same one.
You wait till you get the long distance bill, young lady.
Yeah. Isn't online free?
No, it's part of the package. It's part of the package. We got your phone anywhere in the world.
It's
So
for
it's been pretty good.
1-900 call or 1-800?
Yeah, it's $6.95 for the first 3 seconds, and after that, it's $19.95, and you're included.
Oh, it's those hidden costs.
So I don't know what we were looking at earlier. Let me see here. I know you guys got through quite a bit of that documentation. I just got to load back up here.
Mhm.
That's me. I'm sending everybody I know the website. So don't mind me. I'll turn it down over here.
Hey, Dallas, where do we go to see us live now on YouTube? I can't find it.
Give me a second, Al.
I just posted it to about 50 places. It's still there.
Well, yeah, but I where do I go
Just
to find
click on where it says live up here. You got an arrow for YouTube on top of the page. You know what I mean?
Well, up here, that just.
Yeah, you got that arrow right on YouTube. Click onto that, and then you can get it. You can get the URL.
No, it turns around and tells me.
Here, I'll put it.
Stream.
Oh, it's right there on the page. View stream live. Go to stream live or copy it.
I just posted it in the chat there, Al. So it's a brand new. This is brand new. So it's only got I think it's only got 6 subscribers. So this will be our live stream to this way here, and we'll go from there.
Okay, I'm gonna have to figure out that. Okay.
Just click on the link, Al, to the right.
Yeah.
Just click on it and click subscribe. So if you want to subscribe to it, and like I said, I'll be setting up the information for everybody to get a hold of this one here, so that the administrators can do the lives and build that up. I was going to put it through our other channel, but I thought this would be easier this way here. This channel, anybody has the administrator tools to it. They can upload their videos, whatever they're working on. It's still a collection of what we're doing, and it brings people to the solution. The solution is us deciding our future rather than a bunch of parasites.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to see if whereabouts. Okay, I have to change my stuff to guide them to here because it won't be Facebook anymore.
No, Al.
Yeah.
It's just a YouTube channel. So you just click on it, subscribe. And then when we broadcast, anybody that subscribes to it will automatically get it. We're posting it on Facebook, and they can scroll through Facebook. They'll see it live, no different than Facebook Live.
So
does that make sense?
So when I go and I put up for people like on my Facebook page type of thing for them to come to here, the best is just to have them come to the Zoom channel. Like guiding people here.
Yeah, but inside it, Al, in the comments of the YouTube video, it says join us live by clicking on the Zoom channel, and has all the instructions how to join. And if they're out driving, if they just want to listen to the show, no different than Facebook, they can listen to it. And it's being recorded so they can watch it later. No different than Facebook, right? Go, Brad, please.
Okay, Reg, I sent you a private message. You want to answer me?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
I have to.
So I was going to look at this thing here. I don't know how far you guys got down on this article.
Yeah. Please, Brad.
Okay, I'll do that right now for you, Reg.
Okay. I'm just trying to get everything. I'm doing my little bit here. I'm not that educated, but I'm with the gang, right? So I'm doing the best I can. That's all a steer can do.
I'm just trying to find something here. But
It's Reg Yonan at activist.com, right, Reg?
Nice.
Yeah, Yonan.
Yeah, that one, the one at
on to
activist.com, that's yours?
Yes, activists, yeah.
Nikki's been pretty quiet today.
Yep.
So, you want to get back? You guys want to get back to work? We'll cut the live and get back to work, or what do you guys want to do?
So I was just wondering what the part of Donna's conversation with Trump was.
Well, you're gonna have to wait to find that out, aren't you?
Oh.
Oh, keep us in suspense. Does it have something to do with the fact that this country will be individual countries and it affecting NAFTA agreements?
We are individual countries.
Yeah, but the other part of the conversation though is, would that be affecting the NAFTA agreements? Because we have a de facto government.
Everything they did, they had no authority to do.
Okay, you should have it now, Rich.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna cut the live feed off and come join us again. Take the information, please share it out, please subscribe. Let's take back our sovereign rights that we always had.